Welcome, your pretty little faces. It is a new season. It's a new time because Carlton are playing on a Thursday. It's Tuesday, it's 6 o'clock of the 11th of March, 2025. I am your delightful host, Pommyinoz. And as always, we have some excuses why people aren't here because it is a Carlton selection show and we like to replicate a layout. Ian is currently using public transport, so that's what you get for not having a driving license. But I am pleased to announce two new beautiful faces and an old reliable face. My Orazio Fantasia, the guy that just constantly gets selected, my go-to man. I have the wonderful Lek Dog. Lek Dog, how are you?
Oh, good to be back, mate. It's bloody exciting. It's been far too long since we did this show. So footy's officially back when the selection show is live. And it's nice to see a couple of new faces.
Hey, mate, they don't call me Pom Austin for no reason. I'm constantly wheeling and dealing, mate.
Recruiter of the year.
Hey, mate, so they say. And then I've got another new face. So he's a new face, but he's not a new face, but he is, which is a contradiction in terms. But he runs the wonderful Gardener Stand. Expert journalist, expert entrepreneur, expert of all things football, our resident wordsmith, Jono Baruch joins us. Jono, welcome to the team.
Pom, it is wonderful to be here. Wonderful to get the Guernsey. I watched a bit of this last year to see just a little bit. And then when I got the call up a couple of weeks ago now to inviting me on to join this beautiful team, I'm like, I better brush up to know what are some of the do's, what are some of the don'ts. But I'm excited to be here. We're going to have a lot of fun talking, debating, and really trying to pick a team, which is so exciting and bloody hard to do at the moment, which is a different place to be for Carlton, seeing as there's quite a few people available. But I'm excited to be here.
Mate, we're honoured to have you on board. It is always easy when you've got an easy injury list, but I mean, it will probably get harder throughout the year as Carlton throw the curveball.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And joining us, right? Our own resident Scrooge McDuck. He has an underground bunker filled with gold coins. He is the proud sponsor of this show as well. He is not just CEO of a wonderful financial institution, but also a manic Carlton fan and also a manic man when he's out on the beers as well. I can attest to that. A good night out is had by all. The voice of the people, I'm calling him. I've got the great man himself, Nick Horsburgh, joining us. Nick, welcome aboard, mate.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an absolute honour. And you're right, I've been a blue bagger since I was a young kid, sitting in the social club in front of the Gardener Stand. I didn't realise I got the mayor of the Gardener Stand here, but right now, so mate, I'm chuffed to be amongst some great people, and I'm even more excited that footy's back. I mean, it's been fucking boring, to say the least, on the weekends, not having footy to watch. So I'm pumped. I hope we get it done. We've had an interesting off season. Let's hope the boys are ready and fired up, ready to go.
Mate, I can't wait. And already I trust this man with my life, Bugs Bell. Bugs Bell is claiming Channel 7 are reporting Elijah Hollands is out indefinitely. So it is great to be finally back where the club decide to pull the rug from under.
I didn't take him out on the weekend. It's not my fault.
So, I mean, the club has done well about hiding that rumour. And evidently the rumour is true. So it's great to see. But as always, chat, very important business. We have to pick the team. So you will see 4 teams. We will have about 5 to 10 minutes to discuss it. And then we handball it over to you. You are the Michael Voss of this. This is all run by you and just our little bits of gambits to try and convince you. So without any further pissing about, we'll start the season with Uncle Pom's team. So here you are. Here is my dirty lot. So I haven't reinvented the wheel, to be honest. Now, I didn't have any intel that Elijah was out. You'll notice he's not there. The reason he wasn't selected is he played like 18 minutes of your football. So I was like, okay, we'll go with Young Hungry. But very simple. Backline speaks for itself. You'll see no Oliver Hollands. Now, I am an Oliver Hollands fanboy. I defended him with my life last year. New year, new me. I've turned on him. He's on the extended bench. Akers, Camporelli, Cripps speaks for itself. Cottrell and Fogarty are my half forwards. Motlop, McKay, my pockets. Kent, Mackay, the only two fit tall forwards. TDK, Walsh and Chesney. And then my extended bench, one of these to be sub. But I went with Hewitt, Lord, Ollie Hollands, Young, and Sauce. I can tell I'm going to cop abuse because I've got Lewis Young in there. So I'll wait for you to ask the question. But that is Team Pom. I will open the floor to you, Let Dog. Let Dog, do you have any questions about it?
Why is Young in there?
Genuinely, I just wanted to start the season on a negativity and just get hammered for team selection. But no, serious. The reason is, now I've got a scientific reason for this, right? No team in the world of football plays one ruck and one tall forward and then expects the tall forward to ruck, right? Jesus is coming off an ACL. Yes, he has ruck, but I don't want him anywhere near the ruck. He's going to be my third defender. And Wheater, I ain't doing it, man. So by process of elimination, I need someone to take 20 minutes of ruck time in this game because TDK can't do it 100% of the time. No ruck on planet Zog does it. So that is the reason Young has to be there as that relief. And that's my theory because Carlton are at death's door. If TDK goes down or Mackay goes down, got some big games coming up. So although this is Richmond, I want Young to have that minutes because he's going to have to do it against Lloyd Meek. There's no way that we can do it.
I think that makes logical sense. It'll get some hate, but, you know, Young only has to play 50% game time, really, if he's pinch hitting in the ruck. He doesn't actually have to be out there. Put you a bit behind the eight ball, but to be honest, and he was not bad. He was not bad in that the preseason games he played. So I can understand the logic there. Is that bench an extended bench, Pom, or do you have a sub sort of selected there just for the people at home?
Honestly, my sub in this would be Ollie Lord. If I was picking that, I've done what we always do. We give you.
We've done it again already. Day one.
I can't stop calling him Ollie Lord.
Oh Lord.
He needs to legally change his name to Ollie Lord to help me out. But Jesus is in the team, Maz. I haven't forgotten him. Look, he's the last name there. So it's just that's just the extended bench. I've done a Voss, but to answer your question, Young's in. And you know what? I would describe Young as I would, if you spoke to my exes, my defense of what my exes would say to you would be what I'd say about Lewis Young. Overhated, underappreciated, got the job done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how I'd describe me in past relationships.
I like it, Pommy. And one more from me is just obviously Lucas is getting the debut. What do you expect from him? More of the same of what we saw. And I will credit you, Pom, because in all of our draft lead up last year, you were the one saying he'd get in the team before his brother did. So well done.
Yeah, but people have given that moniker to Kane Collins because he said it during the draft. I was doing it in July, baby. So thank you very much for that, Let Dog. But what am I expecting from him? Two things, right? Honestly, just go out there and enjoy yourself, to be honest. I want to see him keep his width, make himself available, whether that's a 30-touch game or a 10-touch game. I don't care. But what I've liked about him in the two games we've seen is he's kept his width. He hasn't been drawn into the traffic. He's given Carlton an outlet, and they found him incredibly well in the GWS game. So just do that. Secondly, though, I hope Carlton fans are consistent, right? And if Lucas Camporelli doesn't have 25 touches, 2 goals, and 700 metres gained, I hope they treat him like Ollie Hord. Like Ollie Hollands. Like Ollie Hollands, and get on his case, because it's a thankless role, that left wing. So, but me personally, just go out there and do what you did. If you execute that, it's the player's job to find him. And if he does that and he doesn't get suckered in, we're a better side if he does that.
Hold your wits. It's all we wanted from Ollie in his first year. It's all I want from Campo in his first year.
Mate, which is also, I think, what some of my exes would say as well. Pom's quite good at holding his wit. We're on an X train this week. But, Nick, any questions about Pom's team?
No, I'm just surprised you keep calling Lord, oh Lord. That's weird, but
it's a habit.
Happens every week on this show.
I'm gonna back you on Lewis Young. I've got him in my team. I think I've been watching a bit of what they've been doing in the preseason, and I think with Haynes there, with Wiedering, that puts two big men on bodies, and sort of Young's free to go and block holes and take intercept marks, and that's something he hasn't had the ability to do because he's been playing that man-on-man position, and perhaps letting his opposition a bit loose at times, which is, I think, what's led him into the drama. But, I think we've seen a different Young at the preseason, and hopefully he's getting back to his form.
Well, I pose the question then to Nick and to Pommy.
Yeah.
Can you play the 5 tall defenders? From what I understand, it's going to be Wiedering takes the big dog as the anchor role. And that sort of leaves then your likes of Haynes, your McGoverns, your Silvanis to really play the roles as the interceptors. It'll probably be Sauce that ends up taking the second key back, whether or not he has the body size to actually take a second key position forward. That remains the question. You've just articulated why you don't want Young doing that. I didn't have him in my team, which we'll get to in time. It just feels like it's that little bit too tall. And while I agree with Pom, there are going to be some weeks where you're going to need to protect Tom De Koning and you're going to need to play 2 rucks like you're going to need to do against Lloyd Meek. There are those weeks to happen, but particularly when, and the club has banged on the message about speed and power, Young's not quick and he takes, 3 to 5 business days to offload the football once he gets it at half back. How can you justify having the extra tall in who is probably against the method of how you want to play?
I think we've now got the ability to rotate players mid-game and move the magnets around the board and have a little bit of depth in the team. And I think that's the role. And I mean, you're right. Young has been a bit hesitant with his disposal. If he can tidy that up, and perhaps he has. They were quick coming out of the back line against GWS. That's one thing I noticed. It was bang, mark, handball, bang, kick, and we're on the half-forward flank. Then we're still doing the most frustrating thing that's shitted me off for about 20 years is we kick it as high in the air as we possibly can and hope one of our forwards mark it.
I agree. I mean, to defend my team, to answer Jono, I've looked at it this way. TDK is going to roll forward. We're already very small in the forward line. So this allows TDK to get forward, be that extra threat. When you look at the back line at Richmond, you're going to have Kajitski, a baby, potentially playing on Harry. You look at the rest are wet behind the ears. They haven't got an out-and-out tall. And Rod's going to have to play undersized anyway. So I'm thinking bringing Lewis Young in against Hawthorn is counterintuitive without him getting some game time. So this is almost, without being disrespectful to Richmond, you've got to practice what you preach. Get the runs in the board in Young and see how it works, because obviously long-term, Young's probably not in this team. But to defend JSOS as well, if I was picking the team, because someone asked about Razia, I probably wouldn't have. I'm between Doc and Hollands. Razia would be in this team if I was picking it, but I actually have JSOS above McGovern to answer Nick's comment about Young. I feel like JSOS allowed Wiedering to be a bit more free, which I think separates us from the top 4 teams. Our best interceptor, our best kick, is locking down a forward, where the other teams, their best interceptor and their best kick is allowed to play free. Look at GWS against Collingwood. They free Sam Taylor up. so he can hurt. So I would actually have Jesus starting at centre half back and saying to Wheater I'll cover you if you need to attack.
I'm curious to see how it works, particularly in the back line. Like, your logic is sound, Pom, behind having Lewis Young in the team, and I can hear the arguments of him coming in. I'm interested to see how it works in practice. Richmond might not be the best way to see it, particularly, well, they've got Tom Lynch and then, as you described, a bunch of children filling in around them. So talls wise, it'll probably be Wiedering takes Tom Lynch. You can sort of lock that away, and then you can leave that to sort of Haynes and McGovern and Silvani to take around the rest. It will be interesting to see something I noticed in the Giants practice match before he went off. McGovern was almost playing a little bit smaller in that smaller half-back distributing role, which is something that we absolutely need to use, particularly moving forward. McGovern is one of the better kicks in the squad, so 100% utilize that. So I have a watch on that.
Agree, mate. I agree. And Lek, sexy logo, by the way, Lek, but take us through your team. Just before you do, Elijah Hollands is out for personal reasons and has approached the club. So hopefully that ends the rumours about he's been doing whatever you people on Reddit replace good love and affection from your parents with. So we're sending our wishes to Elijah. So obviously Elijah won't be selected, but we send him our love. We're all big fans of Elijah Hollands. But take me through your team.
Yeah, well, I guess the first asterisk is that since I sent this, Fantasia's out and Elijah Hollands is out, so my gut instinct was to put Binns and Silvani in their place. So pretend instead of Fantasia and Hollands, it's Binns and Silvani. I think the back line speaks for itself. Ollie Hollands, I don't really love him as a defender, but it seems like he'll rotate between the wing and defence. So I've started him on the field with Doherty off the field. I think the likelihood of that happening in real life is low. I think they're going to have Doherty on the field, but in my world, Doherty comes off the bench. Wing, we just got Akers, slot him into the wing. We've got an interesting mix of sort of guys that can play wing and swing back into defence and do different things this year. So we've got Akers, Doherty, and Hollands, all who can sort of do that. Akers, they might even toy with him going forward of the ball a bit. As you said, Pom, we're a little undersized up there. Half forward, I've got Cottrell, Kemp, and Walsh. Walsh, because we can't name 17 players in the centre of the ground, but I just see him pushing up straight away and entering that midfield mix. Big year required from Williams and Motlop, as someone said in the chat. And then the bench, I've got Doherty, Lord, JSOS, Binns, and Fogarty. I think Fogarty is going to be really important to us, especially now with the likes of Elijah out for an extended period of time. And I'm the same as you, Pom. I really don't want Lord to be my sub. But when I look at the team and the mix of guys we've got, he seems like the likely one to be a sub, unless you're going to throw JSOS in as the sub to cover for the inevitable McGovern soft tissue injury in the second quarter, or to go up forward and be another presence there. But I think my initial plan would be for Lord to be the sub and maybe relieve a Doherty or a Camporeale later in the game.
Mate, I've got a question for you. Straight away. There's been a changing in the guard this week already. Pom was team Ollie. Lekdog was anti-Binns. Jackson Binns joins the team Lekdog. Tell me, so what did you see in the pre-season that has given you a little bit of Jackson Binns faith?
I was a Binns defender last year. I think I picked him every single week. I think I picked him from round one through to round. I think the only week I didn't pick him was the first week that he played senior footy for us. So I'm heavily invested in him in dynasty keeper leagues. So he must simply play football. It's the back end of his year last year. I thought he was in that team. He came in this year in those 2 practice matches. I believe he played both practice matches. For me, I think he's actually got a bit of versatility. So he sort of got pigeonholed as a bit of a wing player, but I think he could fill a half forward role if required. And at this stage, it looks like we will require that, given some of the dearth of availability we have there. And to be honest with you, I'd rather him in the team over the other fringe guys like your Frankie Evans or your Will Whites or whatever. I just think we haven't quite seen everything Binns has to offer.
Mate, love it. Nick, any questions for young Lacarias Doggers?
No, I'm kind of with you on Binns as being that sort of utility team. We, have seen him named on the wing, and I thought his disposal was a thing that was letting him down. He was good in speed. We need that speed injection. And another year, another preseason behind him. Hopefully he's brushed up on that and is a bit more accurate. So yeah, different way of looking at it. I'm interested to see if Camporelli will start on the ground, given it's his first game. But I'm all for it, the way he played against GWS.
I think the other thing to note, we were talking, I don't know if this was off air or on air, but about the depth that it looks like our team has. You do take out an Elijah Hollins and a Orazio Fantasia, and because I've got like a little spreadsheet, and the available players to fill that last spot. There's actually not that many of them already. Mm-hmm. It's like Francis Evans and Matty Carroll and Will White, and that's basically it. Ashton Moyer. So I think that last position and that Lord Binns position, the last position on the bench, I think there's going to be minimal difference between who you pick, to be honest, at this stage.
Mate, I love it. Question before we got Jono from Matt. Matt Cottrell, he was quite impressive in 2 weeks we saw him. He was a little bit game. Was he a consideration for anyone in this panel? Because I did flirt with it because I've jumped off the Ollie Hollands train. But did you have Matt Carroll anywhere there?
Yeah. Is that Matt Cottrell? Or the question was Matt Cottrell, but I'm assuming that's Matt Carroll. I'm assuming that's Matt Carroll.
Yeah, sorry. I'm reading half a screen because my camera
No, you're fine. Look, he's definitely a consideration. I just don't have him ahead of Saad, Cow, and Hollands, Doherty, etc. And you know what? If the Hollands things doesn't... But having said that, so we may not like the Hollands thing, but remember, this is a team that was playing Matt Kennedy in halfback regularly. So Vossi, I think, wants his more experienced players in the team, unless they're really, really, really banging the door down, a Camporelli type. So I think Hollands is going to get the edge over any of these, fringe guys until he really, really has a reason to elevate one of them. And at this stage, one practice match and a good preseason isn't enough for me to get Matty Carroll into a team over Ollie Hollands.
I'd actually go as far as to say I'd prefer Matt Carroll in favour of Ollie Hollands, but I just think predictability on what Voss is going to do and what he's going to pick. I think Ollie Hollands is going to get that job, but out of all of our recruits, it was Carroll that was impressing me the most. He was pinpoint accurate with his kicking.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that and with confidence. So haven't seen that in a while.
The thing that will do it for me is I'm in agreement with what you're saying, mostly Lek Dog. The thing that's going to really see me, and it's something that I'm watching for, particularly in these first few weeks. If you're any opposition coach with half a brain, you're going to say, right, we're going to make this boy have to defend. So if I'm an opposition coach and I see Ollie Hollands named on the halfback flank, I'm sending my most dangerous small forward to play on Ollie Hollands and make him accountable. It's all very well and good that he can run out of the back line and provide that run. He can run all day. Fantastic. But if you're going to play in defense, I mean, the name of what you've got to do is in the title. You have to be able to defend. So if I'm an opposition coach, I'm going to be testing him out real early to see if he's made for that role. And as you said, Vossi has his experienced players that he likes to see do the jobs that he wants them to do. And I'm like you, Nick. I was very impressed with what I saw from Matty Carroll. But for me, he's probably still a bit far down the pecking order. But I wrote in my mega season preview that if he strings 3 or 4 good weeks together, I don't think it will be long before he cracks a gig.
Matty Gandolfo was talking about Cottrell, not Carroll, in a half-back role. And I want him half-forward wing. That's my preference.
Too. I want him half-forward.
Would we all agree as well that when I watch Ollie Hollands' game, I think mini Matt Cottrell is the way to go? Like, play him at half-forward. Like, I think watching Lucas, Ben in the juniors, all 4 of them, if you include Cottrell and Hollands, that's probably the best area to float them all there. Like, would you say that that's probably... I think... I love Ollie. I'm number 1 Ollie fan, bought all the stock last year. For me, he's a winger or he plays forward of the block. I agree with Jono. If I'm Adam Uze this week, I am saying to Sam Layla, target him. Here's your debut. Show him where you are.
How many times have we seen Bobby Hill or Jordan De Goey just take a vulnerable defender to the absolute cleaners, isolate them in the goal square, and like we're just going to go through him.
Elliot.
I
mean, I agree with what you guys are saying. I suspect maybe Hollands, maybe they're putting the onus on him to be accountable, but also to improve that disposal, decision making, and efficiency. In order to be more effective ahead of the ball, because it's no good being ahead of the ball if you can't kick the footy. I guess the other point I want to flag is just like, I don't really know what they're going to do with Sam Doherty. And if Sam Doherty is going to be in the Ollie Hollands role, which they may do, actually, it's the same thing. I'd target him every single time as well. So I think we do have a weak link in that back line at the moment. So maybe they see more upside in trying to teach the defensive side of the game to Hollands now.
Do you think it's his ability to lay a tackle? I mean, we've seen he can take some big men down. That surprises me for a
can tackle.
Yeah, he tackles really well. And are we lacking a bit of that in our defensive pressure? Is that maybe the reason? Not just the run and spread. I mean, it allows Sardi to hopefully run and spread.
Could be.
Get on that long boot, kick it down to the forward line.
Could be. Pommy, let's I don't want to hog this spotlight too much. Let's get another team up so I can rip into someone else.
Just before we look at the next teams, just to reiterate, everyone in chat, right? We can only speak on what we know. So these drug rumors and stuff like that, they are started by people that don't love the club. So I'm talking about people in Big Footy and Reddit. If you know something personal about a footballer and you reveal it to other fans, even if you guise it as, I want the members to know I'm a good guy, you're a traitor, right? And as far as I'm concerned, during the war, if you revealed secrets, you were hung. I would like to see that done to members of the football club fraternity and banned for life from supporting Carlton Football Club in a professional capacity. All we know for facts from the statement from the club is he's taking personal leave for personal reasons. So for all we know, a family member could have passed away, or he could have been the ultimate man, put his hand up and said, I'm struggling. Our duty as a football club is to be a family. And that's not speculate on what he's done and who he's done and how he's done it. That's putting our arm around the young man and say, we love you, Elijah. Take the time you need. And when you are ready, we will be here with our arms open to welcome you back into the club and cheer you on to play the game. So speculating on things you don't know and don't understand is ridiculous. So if he has done something wrong, sure, it'll be a disciplinary. But let's talk about what we know for facts. It's personal reasons. And let's be honest, I'm telling you, as a former drug addict myself, if I was reading comments from people that pay money and say they love me, but then they're speculating I've done something wrong, even though I haven't, and maybe I'm just having a bit of depression, or maybe something's going on in my life, I would be disgusted. And you know what? I wouldn't play for this football club. I would burn my Guernsey on my Instagram live and call you all a bunch of selfish pricks. So that's who I do. So my love goes out to Elijah. I hope he's all right, and I hope to see him back out there doing what his God's given gift is, playing footy. So no more comments about drugs and stuff. I don't care who said what. They're all wankers. People who spread rumours about this football club, they don't love the club. They're wankers. That's who they are. And you can clip that and send it to them, right? Do you know what I mean? Sam McClure, all of them, wankers, right? They don't love this football. But anyway, that run. Jono, who would you replace Elijah Hollins with, right?
Well,
just so I know.
Well, I'll lay down a ground rule for the rest of the year, Pommy. My rules for selection are like for like, and half vibes. So that's what we're going with. And if to replace X Factor, you're replacing him with X Factor. So come on down, Ashton Moyer to replace Elijah Hollins. The rest of the team pretty much speaks for itself. It's fairly similar to what most people have had. Wiedering the anchor, Haynes McGovern start on the ground with Cowan, Sard and Ollie the small backs, Akers and Lucas on the wing, Cripps the big dog in the middle, Fogarty and Walsh the half forward flankers pushing up to the stoppage. As Lek Dog said, you can't have 17 people starting in your midfield, so I imagine it's going to be Walsh starting there, pushing up to the stoppage and rotating. But equally too, what I want to see is I would love to see Adam Sard starting up high and trying to be used as that person who can really burst through the stoppage and drive that ball forward. So there's that. Motlop and Williams as smalls, Harry Mackay as the lone tall left, decoding Chera. And then I didn't have Cooper Lord in at the start of the day, but then upon hearing the Orazio news, he was in. He would have found himself to be super duper stiff to miss out on a spot entirely. So I'm glad I could get him in, and what an opportunity it is for him. Doherty plays, I think, has got the runs on the board. I'm not buying into the discourse that he's washed, he's old, he's not hitting targets. Sam Doherty is a bloody good footballer. He's had his fair share of bad luck happen to him. I'm backing him in to have, like, let's be honest, this is probably the final chapters of his career now. Like, he's probably got this year, and I'm sure he'll get another contract for 2-3 years. So this is like the last final volume of his career. So let's enjoy that. Jack Silvani, welcome back, son. It's going to be great to see the number one navy blue jumper running around. And I've bought in Ashton Moyer because my school of thought was Elijah was probably going to be the sub anyway, based off just output in the preseason. So I'm going to bring Moyer in and he can be the sub.
I will say on Doherty that the talk about his disposal and stuff not being good, it's not inaccurate, but it's no different to what it's always been. Like he's always been at best an okay kick and an average disposal efficiency player. He was just impactful with where he was on the field and what he does, and he hasn't been able to be as impactful because he's been injured, but hopefully he's healthy again.
Yeah, you know those guys that are, and most teams had them. It's like, I think back to Hawthorn when Luke Hodge was in his last few years at Hawthorn, and I don't know if Doherty will play this role, but he'd stand on that half back line and he'd pretty much conduct that back line and tell everyone where to be, how to move, where to go, and then he'd push up and he'd do something. But really his role on the field was to almost be the conductor and the ones that was trying to make those moves. Is probably not the general of the back line. Is like, I'll leave that to waiters to be the general, the grumpy general. But I'm sure Doherty is that old experienced head who can push up into the middle, drive the ball forward. You know, everyone says, oh, why don't you play him in the position where he was all Australian in? I think there's a push to sort of have him as not quite a centre bounce midfielder, but part of the rotation. He was there a lot during the St Kilda match sim, and he had 8 centre bounces against the Giants as well. So they're certainly looking at him as a centre bounce player. I'm not 100% sold on that, just given the wear and tear on his body and the way what you need to be able to physically do to play that role. So I'm not 100% sold on that, but for all the reasons that I've said, that he's got the runs on the board, he's a veteran, he bleeds for this footy club, and he just keeps on coming back. Whatever hand he gets dealt, he just keeps on coming back. So that's why he's starting in my team.
Absolutely.
I have a question.
Yeah, you go, Pom.
This is for you, Jono.
Yes.
Because I'm getting sick of hearing, like, Doc's rubbish, get rid of him, right? My reservation with Doc is this. He was an All-Australian halfback. We've lost Nick Newman. We're trying to reinvent the wheel with Ollie Hollands, where I'm not convinced that he was that bad on the wing. I thought he did a great job allowing Nick Newman to get forward. Why isn't Doc just simply played at halfback in his best position, in the position I would say if I was a Richmond forward, if I'm lining up against Doc, I'm shitting myself defensively. When I'm against Ollie Hollands, I'm fancying myself to have a go. It seems simple to me. Halfback.
Yeah, I think the reason why they've made the change with Hollands, and I know this question's about Doc, is it felt to me last year, I don't know if you boys felt the same thing, but it always felt to me that Ollie Hollands was, on a few occasions, one or two poor performances away from getting dropped, and every single time he needed a big one. To his absolute credit, he pulled out a big performance. So that's what sort of kept him around. I think the move to put him to halfback was born out of necessity when we had no players left to go over to play the Eagles, but it kind of worked. So I was like, all right, let's train this and teach him, develop him as a halfback and see how it works. If it doesn't work, of course, he can just roll back up to the wing and be a part of that rotation. But then again, from his perspective, you're starting behind the likes of Camporelli in Cottrell in the rotation. I'm sure Doherty will be a part of that wing rotation as well. I like the idea of just moving Doherty to halfback to replace Newman. It's far too simple for what it actually needs to be. It should be the easiest decision made ever. But I like the idea of trying to retool Ollie as, that winger, but maybe this year at halfback for him is really just to try teach him how to defend and really develop that part of that game as a defensive winger.
Reminds me of Cade Simpson when he was a younger player. They tried him behind the ball, they tried him on the wing, they tried him forward for periods, and it just reminds me of a similar, and it probably helps that Hollands is also a skinny white dude, but there is similarities there in terms of their development for me.
I wish I was a skinny white dude.
What I'd give.
No, I agree. And I think your answer's right, John. I mean, just from my point of view, I like Ollie. I think his defensive application is great. I just feel on the wing, it makes sense. He was there to let people overlap him. It suits the fast game style. And he was kind of defensively robust. I just feel, why have you changed it? Like for me, Doc is more aggressive than Newman. It just, to me, on paper, Newman, McGovern, Haynes, Wheatering, Cowan, Sard, Doc. That looks like a premiership backline. Like to me,
it reads better.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like that tickles my ivories. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm feeling a stirring in the loins. But Ollie Hollands there, it just doesn't feel right. I hope I'm wrong. It just feels like it doesn't fix what we're trying to fix.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And that's his challenge. Prove it.
Talk to me about Moya.
Talk to you about Moya. Well, all the reports that I've gotten from the people that I was speaking to over January and the early parts of February were that the two boys that have changed their body shape the most out of the younger boys were Ashton Moyer and Jackson Binns. Now, we know Jackson Binns isn't, I think, is fallen down the pecking order based off the practice matches and a few other little bits and pieces that I'm not going to go into right now. But what I saw enough of from Ashton Moyer, particularly in the last games of last year, was that he has it. Well, we don't know what it is, but you saw him from the way that he moved around. He's a footballer and he's exciting. And I think in the way you have to manage your talent, you need to nurse your talent, not quite, just wind them up, let them go like you can do with certain players. You did it with Walsh. I'm certain they were going to do it with Jagger had he been available this year, and just say all right, off you go. Start in the middle or maybe the half forward flank, and we'll see how you go for the year. I feel like with Moyer, particularly with a player like that, you need to play to his ego maybe a little bit, in the sense that you need to give him a game just to keep him interested and give him a taste of it. So here's a situation now where Orazio's fallen over at the last hurdle. Elijah Hollands has stepped away at the 11th hour. And again, you go looking through the cupboard and it's just okay, you got Frankie Evans, you got Will White. These are players that could come in, that could fill the role, but it's not exactly what Elijah Hollands could do on the field. Whereas you look at Ashton Moyer, he has that X factor, and he's you know what, this is probably a game to bringing him in, another one in front of the faithful, just to sort of get him into it and see how he goes. It might only be for a couple of games here and there, but it's more just to have an early look at him. And then from there, you can decide maybe he needs an extended run in the twos to keep building his game, or maybe it's no, he's ready to play a role in this senior team.
I like it. Do you think, sorry, I don't want to keep hogging the questions. Do you think you're better off, because obviously we're predicting a relatively easy kill against Richmond, then we roll into a relatively tough stretch in Hawks.
Please don't jinx it.
Bulldogs Collingwood. Mate, if we lose to Richmond, I'm not doing the show anymore. So that's how confident I am. But coming out of those first few weeks, we then have Eagles and North in a row. Is there not more benefit to holding a Moyer till then and then giving him a couple of solid weeks? Because what I don't want to do is play him and then feel like we have to pull him out against a better opposition, unless you think they're going to back him in for that stretch.
I honestly think it will be dependent on how he goes. And there's no better way to start than the start of the season. And you can be honest with him and say, look, you can sit him down and say, look, these are the circumstances. This is what happens. This spot is yours for this week, and we're going to give you a run. If you perform well, you stay in the team. If you are battling, then we'll make the call to give you a rest or give a run in the twos. Just back him in. Back him in and see what he can do.
Right.
Love it.
Bring more. Nick, any questions for young Jono?
Yeah, John, who are you using as your sub? Have you?
Moyer as my sub.
Yep.
Moyer as my sub. Come on towards the end of the third quarter.
He just had X Factor spark.
Yes.
Yeah. He played that well last year, didn't he?
He did.
Exciting.
I do hope, and I don't know how you feel, Jono. Would you say I'd like to see a guaranteed 3 weeks when someone debuts or comes into the team? I really hope we don't. That's why I picked Young, because I feel like he's old enough to miss after a week. Where Ashton, Jackson, Binns, I want to see 2-3 weeks for them. Have a bit of job security, like you see at GWS, like you see at Sydney. A little bit of maturity from the coach, and say, we're not going to put you under pressure. Here's 3 weeks. We'll readdress it.
Yeah. I think it's all horses for courses, Pommy. And I think there's going to be times this year when you make the call. One thing I do not want to see them do is to start a debutant as sub and sort of ease them into it. I know that's happened before. It's how Moyer debuted, but we'll let that slide. It absolutely sucks. I was I was working the game at the MCG when it was a Melbourne game and Nathan Brown's son debuted, and he literally only played the last 3 minutes of the game. That's when they subbed him on, which was mean. And then he was dropped, and then was a late in the following week, and the same thing happened. So if you're going to debut the kid, make it meaningful. At least try and make him enjoy the experience as much as possible rather than just sitting on the pine. But with that being said, you can try give him a bit of a run just to either give him a little bit of a look and a bit of a taste for it. It might outperform. Like I remember, like Dog, you might remember this, when Sauce debuted back in 2016, running around in the number 2 because number 1 was still the number 2. I was like, there is no way he is ready for this. But sometimes players just need the run in the level above to perform. And maybe that's the case with Maya. I don't actually know. I guess I just want to see it and reevaluate.
I think Nate Caddy's a similar player if you're looking for a current comparison, in that I think he plays to the level of competition that he's competing in. So he sort of met that AFL standard pretty quickly for a guy that probably didn't look like he was totally ready for it. So yeah, I like it.
I can say, knowing Ashton and speaking to him personally, he is the type of human being that I think you play him in round 1, he blows you away. If you play him in VFL, he does sweet FA. I feel like he's that kind of kid that would do nothing in the school project, stand up, and then deliver an absolute CEO performance where you all get an A star, and you're like, what? You know what I mean?
He's the guy in the group assignment that goes missing, but is like, never mind, guys, I got this.
Yep. Yeah, mate, 100%. Good biceps as well. I've stood next to him. Good-looking lad. But Nick, we're on now to pick with you. Now, I'll give you the same option. Elijah, lay out. Who would you swap Mr. Elijah with?
I'm going to bring in... I'm so line ball between bringing in Moya and Cooper Lord. I reckon I'm going to roll with Moya on this one and start him on the half-forward flank.
Oh, you're going to start him on the half-forward? Oh, I like it. Oh, mate, big time calls. Well, take us through your team.
Okay, so I think we're all set on the back line. I was deliberating on Carroll because I loved what I saw in the pre-season, as I've already spoken about with Ollie Hollins. But I think the project and the way Vossi thinks, I think we're going to we've all agreed on the back line, right? So I've got Haynes, Weeder, and Cowan, Saad, McGovern, and Ollie Hollins across the half-back line. Akers, Cripps, and Doherty. For me, it's predictable. I think Doherty starts on the ground, a little bit of leadership, helping the young boys. I think we'll see Lucas Camporelli rotate off the bench and give Doherty. Doherty's one of these players who can go anywhere. Ollie Hollins isn't doing the job in the half-back line. Doherty can have a rest on the bench. When he's feeling ready, he can go on the back line. He's that utility-type player. Half-forward, Fogarty, bringing in the forward pressure that we like to see. Kempy has sort of solidified a new life in the forward line. Has done a good job a couple of times, and I think Richmond is another opportunity to showcase that with the little pressure that we're hopefully going to see with Richmond. Moya, bring on that X factor straight from the start and get us going. Motlop, he's been exciting. I think he's one of our most improved from where he was last year. You can tell that he's put the hard work in. His enthusiasm, his pressure was outstanding. Like how hard he was running to get to the ball, to knock it on and pass it to Camporelli to get his first goal. That was magnificent. Obviously, Mackay full forward is a no-brainer, and Williams has got a new life in him as well. And impressive, mate. He looks ready to go. Hopefully injury-free. TDK in the ruck. Walsh. Good to have Walshy back. I'm a little bit concerned that maybe we're rushing him, but I'm not a medical expert. Walshy's in the side. Vossi's sort of said that. So, and Chera. In the bench, we've got Hewitt, JSOS, Young. I spoke about Young's versatility as can be used as a backup ruckman. I reckon he's going to go down back a fair bit and sort of become that intercept marker, hopefully handle it off nice and quickly, and we'll get that run out of there of Sard or Olins or Carroll, ideally. I think Carroll's going to come back into the side. It just won't be round one. Lucas Camporelli, I can't wait to see Camporelli out there after watching Scotty for his whole career. So exciting, and I'm stoked that he's getting the role in round one. I'm stoked that we're backing him in. And for me, I think Cottrell's going to be the sub because he can come in, he can fire up, he can go anywhere that we need. You know, if we get an injury or whatever, he's just the most versatile for me. So that's the reason he's my sub.
Mate, welcome to the show, because naming Cottrell as sub is just, you have to do it in this show. It's part of the experience. At least one person every week needs to have Cottrell as a sub.
All right.
I'm glad that you can take my spot now. Welcome, Nick. Welcome.
Thank you. What have I done?
Well done.
No, we've all done it. We all have niches on this show. We all have niches. Like, I might have thrown chat off because I've come across anti-Ollie, and I was defending him against everyone last year. I was like his dad. I was throwing down with the people. But I do have a question, and I've noticed all of us have done it. Jordan Boyd is missing off all of our teams. Did you have, Nick, this is a question for you. Did you have Jordan Boyd in your calculations? And two, if he was fully fit, you are the coach. He said, Nick, put me in, mate. Put me in. I'm ready against them Tigers. Who would you kill out of your team if Boyd was fully ready?
We've got some cattle this year, and I had a lot of trouble. And that's what I mentioned at the start of the show was we've got some depth. And Boyd, he's got accurate kicking. He's got an accurate kicking style when he's on. But for me, as a defender, he's just too small for me.
Last year, sorry, Nick,
kill?
didn't want to cut you off.
Who would I kill? It would have to be, I hate to say because I'm a fan, but it would have to be Ollie Hollins if you're going to put Boyd in the side.
Can I offer a suggestion?
Yeah.
Before Boyd was drafted to Carlton and retooled as a defender, he played on the half-forward flank for Footscray in the VFL and was used as that entry kick inside 50.
Don't we? Well, then that would be Fogarty for me. As I said, we've got some cattle. We've got some depth. It's going to be exciting.
I think last year, probably on this same very show, we had a very similar discussion. Obviously, we had Newman available. We had this discussion about we've got too many of those halfbacks available. We had Sard and Boyd and Newman and Doherty. And if you remember, Doherty was training as a forward last year. Forward mid was going to be sort of their plan for him. And then he got injured at the start of the year and it kind of solved itself. But again, we're very deep in that space. So Boyd's just not as good, in my opinion, as the other guys available. He'll definitely play regular games for us this year. I just wouldn't have him there in round one.
It was hard to pick. We've seen what happens when we drop Hewitt or when we put TDK on as a sub.
Fairly short. Pommy is Jordan Boyd. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
Is Jordan Boyd the player that we thought that they drafted the wrong one by accident because they described him as like, you know, a winger or something in his press release and came across and played full-time defence since.
Done that quite a few times though. Like I also had Sauce tell me for 3 years Roddy Kemp was an inside midfielder, having played 5 games there in his entire career. So I mean, he won the first. I do think I think from memory it was Paul Brodie. Do you remember him? And we were watching the draft, and he said that he was a goal kicking forward, crumbing forward. And then I had to tell the world that he kicked 1 goal in 22 games, and more of a playmaker type player with a booming right foot. But I do remember it like dog. You know what? Just made me think there. If you actually think, right, if Doherty isn't the halfback, if Ollie isn't the halfback, a fit Jordan Boyd, halfback flank, for me is genius. Because Newman gets the ball 30 times a week. He's definitely the primary ball user in a Voss system. Jordan Boyd, 30 touches in that much space. He's hitting Cripps, Akers, Lucas Camparella, you name it, off the halfback time and time again. Carlton are a transitional threat all of a sudden.
Well, Pom, the other one is Lockie Cowan, who we've kind of pigeonholed into this sort of dour lockdown defender early days in his career. But in his draft year, he was the next Daniel Rich. And he's another guy who is capable, if required, of fulfilling that distributor role in the back line. And with Haynes, Weeder, and Gov, and potentially JSOS as the four tools, there might be more opportunity for him to do that. At least in the future, there will be.
And Saad to stop playing body on body as well and run and spread and get on that big left.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Do what he does best. We haven't done that. And I think Haynes has just added a new dynamic to the whole back line. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'll say it every week on the show. This should actually be the team selection. I don't like legit. Like the club should just handball it to us because like we've already won Carlton a flag in 56 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. They've been trying 29 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, it'll be 30 years in September. We fixed it. We fixed it in 56 minutes. Not saying we're geniuses, but I'm saying we're geniuses. But, chat, we've got something important, right? So, for the new people watching at home, but the new people in here, now what we do is we select a team. So the rules are quite simple. I save one backman. Dog saves one backman. Nick saves one backman. Jono saves one backman. And then, because I trust in democracy, right, I give you in chat a chance to save two backmen. We do that for the midfielders and followers, the forwards. And then we will all pick one person to be on the extended bench. And then we will just decide on who is the sub between us. One name, one sub. So we'll start with the back line. So the back line, you can save any one of them names. You'll see the player pool should be fairly straightforward. So with the back line, my first batsman I'm saving. And you know what? I don't often do this, but I owe him a big apology. He was the most impressive player in pre-season. For the first time ever, I'm saving Jack Silvani. He is in my backline.
I knew you were going to do that.
Hey, look at that. Hey, you could be a politician. Like
Pom and I are already fighting.
Like dog, backline. Who you saving, my friend?
Well, we need to put some defenders in now that JSOS is playing there. So Lockie Cowan can go in.
Very mean of you, that dog. Very mean. Mr. Nick, who are you saving?
Jacob Weeder.
That's a pretty good one.
You know what? I actually really admire the fact that Nick already doesn't trust the chat and he's making sure Jacob That's something you'll learn as we go on in the show.
Safety first with Horizon Finance.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Don't always trust them because Dog will remember. Do you remember when TDK was dropped and Young was our starting run?
Yeah. I remember Lockie Plowman getting a game and he'd been delisted the year before. So
how does that happen?
Jono, backman you're saving.
Before I give you the name, do you still get a bring back Fev in the comments?
It's less common than you'd think, but it's more now like bringing back as a goal kicking coach, particularly if someone has had a shit game in front of goals.
I think he's on Richmond's books now as a goal kicking coach for the WT. I am saving Mitch McGovern. He needs to be there. If he's fit, he's one of the most important defenders every week. So I'm saving Mitch.
And Fev talks about how not to miss. It's just hold the ball with one hand. You put the other one behind your back. You don't miss. I don't know why no one listens to him.
There you are. Well, chat, I need two names from you, right? So you've got the halfback flankers. So they can be anyone you see on the screen. I appreciate that, Matt. I've tried to... These have been means tested with lots of old people as well. So not taking the piss out of people who couldn't read it, but I means tested it as opposed to giving it to my kids with 20/20 vision. So the names you can have: Akers, Chera, Cottrell, Cripps, Doherty, Fantasia, Fogarty, Haynes, Hewitt, Kemp, Lucas Camparelli, Lord, Mackay, Moyer, Motlop, Ollie Hollins, Sard, TDK, Walsh, Williams, and or Young. It looks like Haynes and Sard are winning this by Flemington straight. You know what? Quite excited by this, chat. You know what? Haynes, is it a return to Haynes halfback flanker all Australian year for GWS?
I hope so. He'll probably have to improve on that decision-making he had in the practice game. But, yeah, I'm excited for Haynes.
Give him a minute to fit in too. A new team. You got to find your place.
I'm telling you, like, I was so against JSOS down back. I absolutely, I'm all in. JSOS, honestly, in my depth chart, JSOS is third in the defenders from what I've seen. Like, third. Like, that's how good he is. Like, I'm in. But, midfield, who am I saving? You know what? Because my boy, shout out Tom Cotter. I know you watch this show with eager eyes to see if anyone slags you off, but I'm picking up Lucas Pomarelli, the second man to ever get the Pom title. He's starting with. Welcome to the Team Pom. Lack, who are you saving from followers or midfielders?
Well, in great tradition, Pom, I will be selecting a winger, and I will select Blake Acres.
Everyone else will get used to it. Me and Leck are suckers for wings, and I think
we don't totally trust the chat still on the wing decision.
I thought Leck's selection policy was if they wear sleeves, they're automatically in.
Love it or sleeve it.
Walter, how about this? If Carlton don't beat you by 45, I will do this show next week. Stark bollock naked. That is how confident I will be. Totally naked. You can clip that, cut it up, do whatever you tragic people do with it, and I will do this completely naked. So there you are.
And I won't be here to see it.
That's a good one to have a thing on back, mate. Come on.
Nick, who are you saving?
Oh, it's got to be the two-time Brownlow medalist, doesn't it? Put Cripper in the centre.
Cripps leadering. This is very solid selections from Nick early.
Mate, you can do. I mean, you could have put Lewis Young starting ruck.
I will ensure that doesn't happen, and I'm picking Tom de Koning.
Tell you what, already Jono knows how this works. And that makes me very excited. We have made a great selection here because that's how Lewis Young was the starting ruck last year.
I'm just like Ashton Moyer. Just put me in the level above and watch me fly.
Last year, that's what everyone did. And I think it was the week like Doug was away and everyone just backed TDK would be the ruck. And it was literally Lewis Young. The chat unanimously did it and TDK was dropped. But there it is, chat. 2 midfielders left. They are followers. You've got Chera, Cottrell, Doherty, Fantasia, Fogarty, Hewitt, Kemp, Lord, Mackay, Moyer, Motlop, Ollie Hollins, Walsh, Williams, Young.
I have an opinion of who it should be, and I trust chat they're going to successfully nail this one.
Richmond by 32. I need to think of a forfeit if Carlton lose, but I'd probably get banned because the one that keeps coming to my head is very fraternity party. Walsh, Hewitt, and Walsh, Chesney, Hewitt, and Ches. You know what I love about this chat? You all love Hewitt. Dominator and Ashman. I mean, to be fair, while Walter's in chat, I reckon you could bring in Dominator and Ashman, and we'd still win by 4.
That'd be handy.
This is pretty split between Walsh and Hewitt in the chat.
I think Walsh gets it purely because of that. Oh, wait, Chesney. I love the fact we call him Chesney. Okay, Walsh and Chesney it is. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
no,
it's-
Walsh gets it.
I think it's Walsh and Hewitt. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
Much
get
of a
excited.
muchness. I mean,
Chera
Chapman's selected wrong, but that's fine.
Real in those practice games.
You've got to give Chesney some love. He's my boy. He's Chesney.
Chesney.
So here we are. We are at forwards. I can't save the guy that I saved 20 times last year in Charlie Kerner. So I've got to find a new guy. You know what? It's not often I do this. But I am so convinced by the compelling argument. Oh, actually, no, I can't do it. I'm going to go Motlop. I agree with Nick. Nick was spot on. I think he's the most improved player I've seen there. We're bringing in Motlop. Let Dog?
It's an interesting one here because it means all likelihood Doherty and Chera, based on the team we have, are starting on the bench. And I'm projecting forward to real life. I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm actually going to put Doherty on the half forward line in the same place he was named round 1 last year.
You know what? It's weird that experiments just died.
Yeah, it probably wasn't helped by him just missing the year and having to come in and just fill holes. But it is weird that they've not pursued with it. But then they've gone and picked up a couple of potential half forward players in, I know White's a small forward, but White and Frankie Evans in the off season. So maybe they're just trying to build depth there without relying on him.
Breaking Bad and Francis Jeffers, as he's called around these parts. No, I love it. Oliver Walker Peel, good day to you, my Pom mate. Yeah, mate, Mr. and Mrs. TBT. They're the kind of family you want in father-sons, I'll tell you. But Nick, forwards, who are you saving?
I'm going to go on your recommendation of the size of his new guns and put Moyer in there and see what happens to the chat.
You see, that's what I was umming and ahhing with because the argument was so convincing. I was sold.
It was.
I was sold. All right.
Start with the X Factor. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah.
Hey, the X Factor. This is the voice. Wrong. Jono, who are you bringing? Who are you saving?
I'm going to double down on the X Factor, and I'm going to go my boy Lucky Fogg. Lucky Foggity.
You know what I am enjoying so much is Walter's trying to pick. This isn't actually the real team selection, but Jackson Binns would batter Mansell in a fight.
Yeah. He said Mansell would get kick 6 before, and I think he meant kick 6 total times.
Chat, we need a full forward and a centre-half forward. Now, I'm not going to influence you, but this is your first set test, round 1. You can either pick Chera, Cottrell, Fantasia, Kent, Lord, Mackay, Ollie Hollins,
Well,
William.
they can't pick Fantasia because he's injured.
I don't know why Fantasia's there. Ignore me.
Just
Lewis
flowed through from
Young kicked a goal last year too. Let's not forget.
Who was that?
Lewis Young did kick a goal last year.
He did.
Yep.
Was that in the final?
That was at Marvel.
He
Did you
was,
follow as well?
I remember.
I was so depressed, didn't it? 10 goals down. I can't remember what happened. I remember.
That was not a good day. That was possibly the world's longest day I've ever had. That final.
Yeah. Oh, bloody awful. I knew as soon as Terry Kay was named as a sub, I thought, what?
One of the best days of our lives, but that doesn't happen here. Only when chat stiffs us. But bench, I'm going to save. You know what? I've been mean to him tonight, and I don't mean to because I absolutely love the kid. Ollie Hollins, I'm saving him. I need a halfback.
Yep. Zach Williams for me, Pommy. We're basically cutting one player. I'm taking Williams.
Okay. Nick?
I'm taking Chera.
Chera's going to be so pissed. He's had his best preseason all year. He dominated the practice matches, and we've gone, you're on the bench, buddy.
You're on the bench, mate. I am.
He's Chera right.
Yeah, I'm taking Cooper Lord.
But Walter does make a good point. Binns is technically eligible for this, but chat, you can choose. I suspect they probably won't choose Jackson Binns.
Oh, that was the mistake. We killed Fantasia.
That was a late change. Yeah.
Thank you, Walter, mate. You are useful, apart from the banter.
He really wants Binns in.
Do you know what I mean? So Binns, Cottrell, Young chat. There's your sub. One name only. Throw in for the extended bench. Do you want Matty Cottrell, Lewis Young, or Jackson Binns? Jackson Binns.
Jackson with an X.
So,
how many times are we going to call Cooper Ollie this year, Pom? Because it was about 200 last year.
Yeah, it started round 2, and it's because I did that stupid video for that port thing where I was talking about Ollie Lord, and ever since then it is stuck. Looks like
just burned in the brain.
Shout out to Ant.
It wasn't Ant. It was a podcast I was on, and they wanted me to talk about fantasy football and ask what the price of Binns. I mean, what I thought Lord would do if he played. And it was literally like recorded before we did this show. So when I came in, every time I said Ollie, I said Lord. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like they were linked forever. But there you are, chat. That is your team. JSOS, Waitering, Cowan, Sard, McGovern, Haynes, Akers, Cripps, Camporelli, Doherty, Kent, Fogarty, Moyer, Mackay, Motlop, TDK, Walsh, Hewitt, Ollie Hollands, Williams, Shearer, Cooper Lord, and Matthew Cotterell. I actually reckon we've nailed the 23.
Strong.
I think we're bloody close.
We're bloody close. Boyd might be in, but
there might be one change, I reckon.
Well, chat, Leg Dog, what are you doing this week?
That's a great question. I actually realised while we were live that I've got an article I was supposed to submit today for Code Sports, so that will probably have to go up tomorrow because there's no chance I'm doing that. And then I don't think I've got any other pods, just one article this week. One article will go up Sunday night or Monday on Code Sports. So yeah, that's it. 2 articles and I'll be at the game. Richmond v Carlton, which I didn't realise was a Richmond home game. So I've got terrible, terrible seats.
Hey, well, make sure you go and check Let Dog out. Link is in the comment section. You just click that, bang, you'll see Let Dog. He does wonderful stuff. And make sure you follow him on Twitter as well, because if you ever wonder who's got their sleeves on in the Guernseys, Let Dog will remind you at least 7 times a game. So always good. Nick, so tell us, Horizon Finance, what can the wonderful people of our chat do if they call you at Horizon Finance?
Well, 100% let me know you're a blue bagger and I'm going to get you a good deal. So for anyone who doesn't know, I do all sorts of lending. So you need money for a personal loan, car, boat, jet ski, ticket out of here if Carlton play like shit, let me know. Horizon Finance Group is my Instagram handle. Feel free to send me a DM and chat to me anytime. I'm here to help, even if it's just for advice. If you've got a bad credit file and you're stuck and you don't know what to do, just give me a call. Happy to pick up the phone and speak to anybody.
There you are. Look, I've put the link in there. Make sure say Pommy sent you as well. So he'll look after you. He'll look after you, but I can highly recommend him. Good friend of mine, Nick, as well. So I don't hang around with melts. That's a huge call, but he's definitely not a melt.
Mate, I'm really appreciative of you that you gave me the opportunity. I was actually, I was shocked. I've been watching the show for a long time, and obviously Terry at Blue Broad as well, and you guys are legends. And what a great community we have. We've suffered for so long as Carlton supporters, and I think we're starting to see the cogs turn now and the tide change, and hopefully the pants are on.
Hey, mate, thank you very much for that. And obviously, I always say Pommyinoz, I think, is a better community than Blue Abroad, like in the chat. The chat's always very good. We get the best of the BA and the best of the AFL community here. But And even you, Walter, who's just asked, can I hit him up for a new basement? You can maybe get out your mum's basement.
And even that Richmond guy, I mean, if that Richmond guy wants some funding for some dental work or, anything else like that.
And Jono, what can we find from you this week?
Like Let Dog, I have a couple of articles to write. I need to write up an article from, not Carlton related. I've spoken with Noah Anderson about ahead of his captaincy debut. So that will be on Zero Hanger during the week, which is good. Great chat, Noah. Vossi is speaking tomorrow, doing some press. So head down to that. I will be at the game on Thursday night, and we'll see what else comes across my desk. But thank you, Pom, for having me here. And like Nick, it's been awesome to come here and to be able to help you with this and to promote the Gardener Stand and what we're doing here. It's been an unbelievable first month from launching the Gardener Stand, and we're only just getting started, which is really exciting.
Mate, I'm loving what you're doing, and you're revolutionising the way that we feed media. I think that's a real good thing. But for Pommyinoz, what are we doing? We've got the preview tomorrow for the Carlton Richmond game, and then you all had a vote because you are the people, and I am a man of the people, and you want an AFL review show instead of the individual reviews of the games. So, because of that, I promised you an extra stream. So we are going to be doing Port Adelaide versus Collingwood, St Kilda versus Adelaide. We're going to be Team Sid Draper for the day. And we'll be doing the Carlton Richmond watch-along as well. So that's 3 watch-alongs this week, 3 chances to hang out with me. Live on Sunday as well for the AFL Kickback Show. Marnie will be our first special guest as the co-host, where we'll cover all the week in depth with some fun and games as well. We'll get to play around with Marnie a little bit and have a bit of a laugh. Aside from that, I'm out of here, and I'll be back on this very channel in 13 minutes for Footy Abroad with the wonderful box-size Swoop Luke, the very fashionable Jake Bertone, which isn't really his name. He's not really Italian. He's called Brian. And Terry Degani. So I will be on there. So peace, love, and light. We'll be back next week. Much love to everyone. See you soon.
Go Blues.
Go Blues.
Bye-bye.